Hi everyone, my name is Lee Young and I'm the current gifted education teacher at Mary Mumford Elementary School and John B. Carey Elementary School, and I'm here today to share with you an amazing lesson plan that is centered around a man named Rube Goldberg. Now, if you haven't heard of Rube Goldberg, I'm here to tell you a little bit about him. Here's a picture of Rube Goldberg, and he lived from 1883 to 1970. He was a famous cartoonist, sculptor, and author. He was most known for his very elaborate cartoons, which involved very complicated and outlandish contraptions to complete a simple task. So let me show you an example. That might make it a little bit more clear. So here's an example of a Rube Goldberg machine, a Rube Goldberg cartoon. And in this cartoon, you can see that it ends with a man getting his back scratched. But the steps that it took to get there are really quite elaborate and complex. It starts all the way over here with water that evaporates and turns into rain, condensation. And as it turns into rain, the man pulls down the umbrella. And as he does that, the pulley board drops. The pulley makes the board drop, I should say. The bowling ball pulls on the hammer. The hammer hits this board, which of course knocks the cradle. The baby cries. The dog rocks the cradle. And as he rocks the cradle, he scratches the man's back. So when you look at this cartoon, you might be thinking, well, that's crazy. If the dog just scratched the baby's back, couldn't we just have cut out all of these other steps? Well, maybe, but that wasn't what Rube Goldberg liked to do in his cartoons. He liked to make them really fun and outlandish. So that's who Rube Goldberg is. And there's a game out there you may have heard of called Mousetrap. How many of you have heard of that game? I hadn't heard of it until I saw it for myself. So the game Mousetrap, here's a picture of it. And if you've never heard of this game before, let me tell you a little bit about it. So in this game Mousetrap, the goal is to get your mouse all the way around the game board without it getting caught under one of these contraptions. Okay, and as you look at these contraptions, like the cage right here with the inclined plane, you may be thinking to yourself, gosh, that looks an awful lot like some of the things that were in Rube Goldberg's cartoon. And you'd be right. So Mousetrap is like a real life Rube Goldberg machine. There's actually pieces that you set up on the board first before you can even play. And as you play and move around the board, you have to set into play or set into motion all of these different contraptions to catch your opponent's mouse. So that's Mousetrap. You may have heard of it. I hadn't. Of course, you can go on the internet and Google Mousetrap game to get a better look, because I know this picture isn't as fun as the color picture online. So go ahead and do that if you have some time. And the reason I bring up Rube Goldberg and his cartoons and the Mousetrap game is because it has a lot to do with what you're going to be working on at home. So your task at home is to create your very own Rube Goldberg machine using 6 simple machines. Well, I take that back. Using 4 of the 6 simple machines that you already know about. So let's do a quick review. What are the 6 simple machines you've already learned about? Well, here they are. You've got the lever, which is an example of a balance scale here. You've got an inclined plane. You've got a wedge, which is a screw here. It could also look like a door stopper. A wedge would be an example of a wedge. Another wedge would be a door stopper. Of course, you have an example of a screw down here. Wheel and axle, and a pulley. So what you're going to do at home, and this is going to be really exciting, is you are going to create an automatic food feeder using 4 of the simple machines I just showed you. And you have to do it in 10 steps. So I was thinking to myself, well, what would I use in my house? And I did some rummaging around and looked through some things, looked through some different areas of my house. So you're going to need to do the same thing too. Let me show you a few things I found. So probably have a lot of these lying around: paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls, cardboard boxes. All of them can be cut up or changed or used as they are. Sure, as an inclined plane, you could use this as that to create your Rube Goldberg machine. I found in the toy box a Play-Doh rolling pin, and when I attached some string and tape to it, I was able to create a pulley with a paper cup. And I also found in the toy box a car with wheel and axles. So maybe this would be how I would start my contraption, my Rube Goldberg automatic food feeder contraption. Maybe this would be the start of it. And maybe it would roll down my wedge or inclined plane, right? This is just a simple binder. You might have a smaller one that you could use just as well, or prop up some books. Rulers you can use. So really, the sky's the limit. I would take a look around your house with your parents' permission or adult supervision. Go through your pantry, go through your garage, look in your toy chest. You might also find things like spatulas in the kitchen. Really, just be creative as possible, because this is your machine, okay? And that idea about it automatically filling a bowl at the end of it, at the end of the contraption, well, you're going to need to use some kind of dried material. So don't use milk, don't use yogurt, gosh no. You want to use dried beans, cereal, rice, okay, anything that you can easily pick up, because you may have to do this a couple of times and we don't want to leave a mess everywhere. So once again, your goal is to create a Rube Goldberg machine consisting of 4 simple machines and using 10 steps to put food in a bowl at the end. Okay, so I know I didn't give you a ton of information here in this video, so what I'm going to recommend you do is look at the lesson plans. There are some videos you may want to take a look at on YouTube that show different contraptions, different materials that other students have already used to build a Rube Goldberg machine. I would recommend you look at the materials list, because it is a much bigger list of all different kinds of things that you might have in your house that you would like to use for your Rube Goldberg machine that I didn't mention. You will also need to look at the planning sheets. So there are some sheets in the lesson that ask you to do a draft drawing of your ideas, and then of course to reflect on what worked well, what didn't work well, what would you change in the future. So that's your mission, that's your task. I'm excited for you because I think you're going to have a lot of fun. Be creative with this. See what other students have done and see what you can come up with the materials you have at home. So have a great time. I am happy that I could spend some time with you today, and take care. Bye.